Alright, this is a redo of a 2-R I gave against Preetham outside of class and outside of any tournament. And yeah, it's a 2-R. So... Oops, what's happening? Okay. Okay, on the RV arguments, he completely conceded the RVI arguments on the part of the AC. You said the fact that the affirmative cannot deny the negative RVI ground and claim an RVI, as well as the fact that he's violating it by claiming RVI ground and saying that means that all those same arguments mean that I can get an RX RVI as extended standard that is a definition of violation of reciprocity. He literally claims that he gets something that I can't get, or without actually providing a warrant for why that distinction actually exists. It means that it definitely violates reciprocity and fairness because the reciprocity determines equal access to the ballot, which is the definition of violence of fairness. Also, always offense because the only verifiable piece of offense is there's a very clear askew in the ground. He gets something, I don't get that same thing, which means that always other piece because it is asking something that's verifiable, whereas his arguments about qualitative ground you can't even determine. Then, on the nib shell. First, you're Preetham being an idiot here. He violates his law. He turned I can't turn utilitarianism in this round because he says it's automatically affirms, means that even if he wins the argument that you can't turn the Godier arguments, it's literally impossible for him to turn utilitarianism. Additionally, even if he says that wins that they're all necessary, but it's all necessary, but it's first, this is a violation outweighs because he literally cannot win underneath the standard. Whereas even if I had multiple necessary but insufficient burdens on my standard, if he met all those burdens, he could at least win under contractarianism. There's no way being able to win under the AC standard. The only way I can win is by beating back utilitarianism, but he can at least bypass contractarianism and just win link turns. And this is also a reason to vote him down, even if you don't think his violation is worse, because even if the violations are equal, his one was first, but this one was only defense. I respond to his abuse by being abused myself, because it's the only way I can still remain within the round. And in this case, you still punish him, because in the case of self-defense, not only does the defender innocent, but you also punish the attacker in the first place, because they are the one who initiated the transgression. Second, Godier's overall one turnable standard, which means that meeting his framework, even if there are multiple necessary burdens within the standard that is present within that. First, that's not what his text says, which means you very least semantically meet his interpretation. But additionally, I should provide my interpretation of what the text of his interpret says, because all standards do that. Utilitarianism requires that you prove the universe exists and that causality exists in order for you to win any offense back to utilitarianism. Similarly, contractarianism requires that you prove a contract is possible before you prove internal links to contractarianism, which means that all standards literally do the same thing. It's not anything unique. So if he's our standard to exclude all standards with the necessary but insufficient components, then that would exclude all standards. We wouldn't have any debate whatsoever. Third, I only claim that he fails to meet one of the necessary but insufficient standards on Godier, which means that he beats back the idea that we can make contracts, then he wins the round. So it is turnable. There's no abuse. Then on permissibility bad. First, reject all of his arguments of permissibility bad because he doesn't go for any of the 2-to-1 skew arguments. He makes brand new arguments of qualitative skew, which those aren't the ones in the AC. This is a strict strategy which is bad, which is actively bad because I base my one in the NC strategy on theory arguments in the AC and how they are constructed. I didn't know he could be able to pull out random new standards in the 1AR. Even if you don't buy that, second, this quality ground is non-verifiable. Who says it's easier to prove than obligation or permissibility is easier for obligation? That is not any sort of as a coherent analysis. He just literally asserts that in his next last speech. Third, it's harder to prove permissibility because judges are less receptive. If judges want to have something to hang their hat on, permissibility is not necessarily that, which means that even if I'm only creating permissibility, whereas that's a harder and more uphill battle, which means that turns the argument. Even if you think this is a bad argument, it's no worse than the original argument in the 1AR, which means that at very least the votes cancel out, and you should prefer my argument that literally goes conceded. That's also reasons I'm winning on strength of link. There's any mitigation on other arguments, it would be interventions not to vote on the conceded argument. Then substance, I guess. You can extend the argument that so as we utilitarianism, even if he's winning other arguments, if I'm proving that utilitarianism is not functional or anything like that, then you are negating. I don't have to prove that contractarianism is necessarily a better alternative. So first against the first against the second part of the epistemology, because then the third argument made that says that the empiricism epistemology that he advocates for against utilitarianism because this causality doesn't exist. I.e., if the only thing we can actually know is our experiences, then we can't know something caused another thing. Because in order to say something caused another thing, we have to say that if that thing hadn't occurred, that other thing wouldn't have happened. However, that requires a counterfactual statement. That idea of we can envision a world which that thing doesn't happen. If we only know our experiences, then we don't know any world that isn't ours, so we can't ever prove any counterfactual claim true. That means that we can never actually prove causality, so causality is a incoherent concept of utilitarianism, and utilitarianism is flawed. That argument goes conceded. No responses. That means that also exhausted by the analysis just for epistemology. Epistemology comes first because that determines what we know in the first place, and the normative effects have to be based off what we have things that are actually knowable. So That takes out the epistemological foundation of util. You vote Nick. You have to know about that. Go to the motivation stuff. I go to West argument. He says that he consented for proofs we can try together. However, my argument is that even if you wins back a link to motivation, i.e., why utilitarianism does something for us, it doesn't provide a reason to care about other people. I.e., even if like it only motivation only means I care about myself, but there's no reason why I care about Dan suffering or Preetham suffering. That it's a reason why we don't have an obligation to maximize people for all of that. It means utilitarian theory is actually inconsistent with that. I just need, in order for proving that there's contractual theory, he has to prove that the form of the contract is possible in the first place. However, I'm going to be winning the part of the contract is impossible. Covering the two arguments at the bottom of the NCV. This is first, there's going to go to one argument, two argument that says that form of contract is impossible under the state of coercion because they are unequal parties. The other one party is just forcing the other upon this. And the second argument is that the under system rehabilitation, there's explicit coercion going on because the other person is a willing participant. They don't want to reform, which means that we're forcing them into it. That means that there's no contract actually going on between the government and the citizen accused, means that they are part of the utilitarian system as the West argument describes. She says that it's prerequisite for the government being an actor. Look, I don't care if the government actually exists. My argument is that there is no actual contract. There's no tacit like agreement according to some Lockean theory or any sort of social contract going on here. That it's impossible. And it undercuts the internally the foundation of utilitarianism itself, which means that I'm undercutting the only warrant in the West evidence. Also, this extends the acclamation distinct. My argument, the acclamation distinct doesn't prove an obligation. Just it takes out deontology. That it's not an impact. That no impact argument goes conceded. There's no reason why all my theory and all of like relies on acclamation. I don't actually have to win a framework here. I just have to disprove utilitarianism. He says it's sufficient burden for me. Also triggers permissibility.